let me show you around the beautiful Islamic city in which I live right now, the city of Khobar, Khobar, in the eastern region of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
So we'll start with a stroll to admire the beautiful coastline of this city along the Arabian Gulf. By car and on foot, we'll explore the mosques, the walkways, and the shopping areas along this coast. Then we'll go for a quick drive through town. I'll show you where I live, where I work, and how local populations love to have fun in the desert. Then I'll show you my favorite place to eat.
Now you may wonder, is Khobar really an Islamic city? I mean, when we think of Islamic cities, we tend to think of medieval cities, right? Old cities with ancient monuments and mosques and madrasas from the, ancient caliphates. But no, for me, an Islamic city is a place where I can live comfortably, happily, and fulfill my obligations as a Muslim. And in that sense, Khobar is a wonderfully Islamic city. I live comfortably, I make a good living as assistant professor of humanities and social sciences at Prince Mohammed bin Fahd University, right? Most of the people who live here are the expats, right, who live here at all levels of the social scale, right, are here because we make a better living here than we do in our own countries. I live here comfortably, I lead a nice life, the weather is absolutely wonderful, except in the summer, right? But then again, in Canada, the weather is absolutely wonderful, except in the dead of winter. So you sacrifice one period of the year for another one. But it's an Islamic city because there's mosques everywhere, masjids everywhere. Anywhere I'm going, I'm in the middle of the mall, right, doing my shopping. Oh, it's the time for prayer. I go and I find a beautiful masjid, a woman's masjid for my wife and my daughter, and a men's masjid for me and my sons. We can go in, fulfill our obligations. Any bathroom we go to, we find running water inside the bathroom stall. These are little details, but when you're used to being a Muslim in a country like Canada, where I'm from, finding running water inside your bathroom stall is an absolute blessing, right? All the restaurants we go to, we don't have to worry if the meat is halal, right? So it's a place where, as a Muslim, you can live comfortably.
Khobar is in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, across the Arabian Gulf from Iran, and really close to Bahrain, as well as Qatar, not too far away. It is one of the 3 cities that are basically stuck together. If you drive around, you don't know which city you're in at any time unless you have your GPS. The 3 cities are Dammam, Dhahran, and Khobar, right across from the Kingdom of Bahrain. There's a big bridge that connects the two. This region is famous for its oil wealth, the Dammam region being the headquarters of the Aramco oil company, right? The world's biggest oil company, developed by a joint venture of the United States and Saudi Arabia in the last century. And you can see if you drive around Dammam in the region that there's a great American influence in the urbanization and the structures. But there's also a deeper Islamic civilization and even a more ancient civilization with monuments and vestiges, right, that you can see, for example, in Bahrain or in various parts of the region. This was the dammam civilization, which is one of the oldest merchant cultures, which dates back to the 3rd millennium before the Common Era. It was a trade hub between Mesopotamia and the South Asian Indus Valley. So it's a region which is very modern, very contemporary, globalized, right, part of the world economy, but also a region with a lot of importance historically. I live and work in the very southern tip of the little peninsula, which is at Khobar. So I'm surrounded by coastline and salt water on all sides. And in fact, even the ground on which we build our homes and structures is very, much filled with salty water. And that's something that architects and engineers have to deal with when building in this region. It's the desert, but it's very wet and humid. And in the summer, you really feel that humidity. I mean, I live in the middle of the desert. You can see these scenes right now are from my bedroom window. You can see the city of Khobar on the horizon, but our compound is right here in the middle of the desert. It's not all dry. I mean, if you look at the other side, you can see it's very green and well developed inside the compound. But our surrounding areas are very much arid, although, like I said, that salt water is present everywhere. So let's start our drive. Very much like in North America and the United States or Canada, the region has a gas-guzzling, vehicle-dependent infrastructure of highways and roads. Now, I would suggest that if you come to drive here, although it's very efficient and there's radars for speeding and whatnot around, I would suggest that you take a while to see how people drive before you get into the mix yourself, because to say the least, the driving habits are quite different from what we're used to in North America. In any case, the roads will take you, as you can see from these pictures, along the beautiful coastlines of Khobar and surrounding regions. There are many, many walkways and pathways and places for families to hang out and have a good time. And there are beaches as well, but I would warn you, if you're used to swimming in other bodies of water, that the water around these beaches is extremely salty. So it's a little bit, it burns the eyes a little bit. The good times for swimming are, of course, not in the summer here, because it's absolutely, scorching. The scorching heat makes it very, very difficult to go and enjoy a day at the beach, and not in the middle of winter because it's a little too cold. So the best times for swimming are fall and spring.
To be honest, when it comes to swimming, I'd rather just go to one of the resorts and spend the day by the pool. Anyway.
Okay, now let's pop out of the car and go for a nice stroll along the Khobar Corniche, the walkway along the coastline, which is a place, which is really enjoyable for families and individuals to go and relax and have a good time. During the cooler months, you can go during the day and appreciate the sunshine. In the summer, you'll find people really like to go there in the evenings to appreciate, the cool breeze coming off of the sea. There's a beautiful, obviously, number of masjids, places where you can go and pray, such as this one, beautiful one you see in the picture here. So obviously, family time, communing with nature, with the sea, with the sky, with the sunshine, and communing with Allah are always to be considered as a holistic experience in an Islamic city. While most of the Corniche is a wonderful place to go without spending any money, just spending time with family, there are also some more luxurious places, such as the Ajaan Walk that we're looking at right now. The Ajaan Walk is one of many shopping and restaurant and cafe areas, which cater to clientele with a bit more money than the family park areas. It's also very nice. It has a selection of international restaurants and movie theaters, so it's worth taking a look at. Now, if you drive just a little further down the coast, or even walk, you'll come to the necessary place for a tourism photo, right? The I Love Al Khobar spot. Our drive takes us past the beautiful Meridian Hotel, and we continue along the Corniche until we get to the famous Al Khobar Water Tower. Right across from the busy downtown area, you have this other part of the Corniche, which is calm and peaceful, with another beautiful masjid and family picnicking areas right near the water tower. Now, let's get back in the car and start a drive into the city.
Okay, let's call it a night and see you tomorrow morning.
Now, some of you might be saying like, okay, why aren't you being more critical of Saudi Arabia, right? Why aren't you being more critical? Why are you only showing the good sides? Let me stop you right there. As a Canadian, white, Muslim of British and French ancestry, I'm perfectly aware that when I travel around the world, when I go to other countries, especially Muslim countries, right? Especially the country from which the religion I converted to, right, originated, the last thing I'm looking to do is to go there to offer them my detailed critique of how they run their lives and their societies. That doesn't mean I don't have a thinking mind, that I'm not critical, that I don't see things. But to be honest, the last thing, right, Muslim countries in Asia and Africa need is somebody like me coming to their country and telling them everything I think that they're doing wrong. When in fact, I think they're doing a lot of things absolutely very right, right? They're doing things very well. Saudi Arabia is, you know, when all is said and done, I don't think this country could have improved its living conditions for its local citizens and its expats, right, and its foreign workers any faster than it has in the last few years, right? Does that mean there's no work to be done? Does that mean there's nothing to criticize? No, but let let them take care of themselves. If you're from Canada, if you're from the United States, if you're from another part of the Arab world, your country, right, or the Muslim world, right, or the global south, your country, right, has many challenges of its own, right, including ethical challenges and political challenges and economic challenges, right? And when I go to Montreal or Toronto or New York or any other part of the Western world, and I speak about the nice things I've seen there. I say, oh, I went to the theater in London and I had a great time. I went and saw a poetry recital in New York and it was wonderful. Or I went to see a soccer game, a football game in Barcelona. I had a great time. Nobody's going to say that, oh, I'm culture washing or sports washing, and trying to get people to deflect from their critiques of the policies of that country. No. With every country in the world, we seem to understand that, you have to be able to distinguish between what your purpose is. If you're speaking about culture, you're speaking about cuisine, you're speaking about people, that is you're staying in your lane, right?
So for our second day, I'm going to show you around where I live, the neighborhood of Aziziyah. We start, of course, from the faculty compound where I live, and then we drive into the other neighborhoods, a little bit into the city of Aziziyah itself. You see, this is really a nice, relaxed neighborhood where a lot of Saudis live, as well as expats. But in our neighborhood, it's not really the flashy malls and downtown buildings with all the American brands, as much as it is, obviously the American brands are here in this neighborhood, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of a local flavor to this part, which is still under development. A lot of local shops, and really, in this sort of area that still has a lot of sand dunes and desert and nature, a lot of what people love to do is just, spend the day. They park their car and they like to camp out, with their car right next in the sand, right next to the water. I think that's a beautiful, continuation of what is obviously an Arabian, right, an ancient Arabian habit of just sitting in nature, in the sand, on a carpet, right, putting up a tent, making some coffee, right, making some food, and enjoying yourself and contemplating and talking to who's with you. This is perpetuated here. And it doesn't only happen on the seaside. It happens in the middle of the desert. People just like to park their car and have fun in the sand. But before we look at that, let me take you quickly to where I work, Prince Mohammed bin Fahd University. So we're driving into the campus, the male campus, because there's a male and a female side. You can see we have beautiful sort of landscaping and designing, trying to bring in a little bit of greenery and nature into this oasis in the middle of the desert. Actually, the campus is not far from the sand dunes and the waterfront where we're going to go a little later. But there it is. This is where I work. There's, you can see here near the parking lot, the fountain, and the ducks, and the lake, and there's a mosque where we can go do our 5 daily prayers, and then obviously the buildings where we teach. I've had the pleasure of teaching on both the male side and the female side. Students of 2 types of category. You have the day students who tend to be a bit younger, and the evening students who are often people who work in big companies such as Aramco and are upgrading their skills to pursue their career. So the role for a social science or humanities teacher such as myself is to give these future engineers, architects, right, business students and whatnot, the skills needed to be, a more rounded personality. Of course, as a scholar, and I should say, student of Islam and Arabic culture and languages in general, including Arabic, I'm learning from them as much as they're learning from me. And one thing I'm learning is that the desert is not a lonely, desolate place. It can be a lot of fun. Check these guys out here on the sand dunes, just a few minutes drive away from the university. Okay, having spent a day driving around the desert, let's go home to the compound very quickly before going out for supper. My favorite place to go out for supper with the family or with friends is called Diwania Idira. Diwania is a sort of relaxed place with sofas where you can have a coffee, right? Maybe some sweets. And also, in this case, you have a traditional sort of Arabic restaurant. There's a men's section on the main floor, and then in the basement, a beautiful sort of Moroccan living room arranged area with special rooms with curtains where you can go with your family and have privacy. In the middle of the space, there's a fountain. So obviously, in Saudi Arabia, everywhere you go, there's all the international brands, all the international restaurants. But let me tell you, I didn't come all the way across the Atlantic Ocean and Africa and into Western Asia to be eating McDonald's every day. The best food in town is the local food. It's got the best taste, the nice ambiance, and it's actually cheaper than the international stuff. Tonight we're having managish, which is a sort of Lebanese or Syrian crepe. Ours is filled tonight with a mix of cheeses, sort of like a Mexican quesadilla. Very nice. And our main dish is rice and camel meat called hashi. Absolutely delightful. Before tasting camel meat, I was afraid it would be gamey and kind of a strong taste, but it's actually very nice. It's kind of fatty, but apparently the fats are good for you in camel meat. And, they make a delicious blend of spices. The rice is moist, really absolutely a pleasure. We have it with yogurt sauce, sort of like a tzatziki sauce. Those of you who know Greek cuisine, it's like yogurt with cucumber, and also some salad and some spicy, red spicy sauce that you can just mix into the rice. All of these ingredients, you just mix it into the rice. Normally, after such a meal, I have an Arabic coffee, which is a very lightly roasted, sort of yellow coffee with a nice light mix of spices, which might include saffron, or cardamom, ginger, cloves, and it's generally served with dates and maybe some type of pastry or sweets. But tonight, I'm not going to have my coffee at the Diwania. Instead, I'm going to the gas station Yes, that's right. The gas station. One of my favorite places in Aziziyah is this gas station you see here, which has many, many features. First of all, whenever you go 24/7, you hear the Quran playing. Very soothing, the word of Allah. There's a few restaurants. There's Kentucky Fried Chicken. Not that I actually eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, but it's there for those who want it. And there's 2 places to pray, 2 mosques, a woman's mosque, and of course, a little coffee shop where I love to get my Arabic coffee. The owner has allowed me to film the little coffee shop, but he does not want to be in the picture, so all you will see are the images of the nice traditional Saudi sweets and the dates and the coffee and tea equipment. And while you're admiring this pretty little shop where I have the honor of enjoying the best Saudi coffee in Aziziyah, I'm going to ask you to share the love. I guess if you've been here until the end of this video, it's that you've appreciated the content, and therefore, if you could like or put a comment, even subscribe, that would be wonderful. I love to hear from you and get your feedback, and also it helps the algorithm share this content, which deals with, Islamic perspectives on the good life, as experienced by Muslims in places such as Khobar. Wassalam.